Now, the timing of this video will have half of Raptors fans upset and triggered, and the other half very excited, hoping to find out what the future has to hold for the Toronto Raptors team. This is the Airborne Podcast. I'm your host, Ajith. And Raptors fans, if you're wondering what this video is about, you might know, you might not, but we're going to get into some Kyle Lowry trade talks. I know the timing might not sound right at the moment, but it does. Based on how Kyle Lowry is still performing at his age, he's about to turn 34 next year, and he still looks like he's capable of carrying a team on his back, and that will, alert other teams to be interested. If they were interested before, they're definitely interested now, especially teams that are one piece away from being contenders or teams that are one piece away from being playoff contenders. He could really help a team. And you see that clearly in these past two games against the Dallas Mavericks and the Indiana Pacers. When he's hot, he's hot. He's scorching hot. And I was surprised myself. He looks like he's aging like fine wine. And he's been averaging 30 points roughly. For the season, he's averaging about 21 points. And compared to his 14 last year when people thought he lost his step, but no, he didn't. He just took a back seat to Kawhi Leonard and Pascal Siakam to put the betterment of the team and look at the bigger picture. And that bigger picture was ultimately capturing an NBA championship, which is what they ended up doing. But you could see he can carry you any night. If he's making shots, he's scary. And he's been with us for about 8 years now, and it's kind of sad if he does get traded eventually. But there's a high possibility that the 1-year contract that Masai did give him this offseason, if he ends up playing those 2 years out, he'll be here for as long as DeMar DeRozan was here. And I don't know what the future holds for Kyle Lowry, but I do want to get into some trade talks based on what we could possibly get back, maybe some future assets to build on this team, because we are trying to get younger. But I'm on the side that doesn't want to trade him. But for the purpose of this video, I am going to look at some trade ideas and see what kind of returns we can get for him. And to start things off, I want to talk about certain teams that need a point guard or an upgrade at that position that would put them over the top, like the Miami Heat, like the Minnesota Timberwolves, like Golden State Warriors, like the Detroit Pistons. Those teams, they're looking for that point guard that can get them either to that championship level or just to get to the playoffs, because their franchises are just begging for something good. And a new face to another team is always a good thing to help, fans stay stay with the team. They don't want to fall out of love with the team that they're rooting for. There is a specific trade that I did want to get into with the Minnesota Timberwolves, but not just them. It's also with the San Antonio Spurs. And for teams, or not even teams, but Raptor fans who were salty and upset that DeMar DeRozan left, this specific trade will have him coming back to the Toronto Raptors, but you're going to have to sacrifice the other gem that's been carrying us for the last 8 years, and that's Kyle Lowry. So in this trade, it'll be a 3-team trade between Minnesota, the Toronto Raptors, and the San Antonio Spurs. And Minnesota will be getting Kyle Lowry as that point guard to kind of work with Karl Anthony Towns to get them to the playoffs. And in return, the Toronto Raptors will get their hometown grown player, DeMar DeRozan. And the San Antonio Spurs will get Andrew Wiggins and their rookie for this year, Jarrett Culver. And out of this whole trade, it says that the Minnesota Timberwolves will basically lose 3 wins in this possible trade, and the Raptors will go up by 2 wins, and the San Antonio Spurs will go up by a win. I don't know what y'all think. I'm not for this trade. I already said this in a previous video that DeMar DeRozan's time with the Toronto Raptors is basically done, and he's he's not that old, but he's basically 31 years old, and he's only a few years younger than Kyle Lowry. I don't see how this benefits us. But some Raptor fans they're still salty and upset about DeRozan being gone. So maybe for those guys, this might be a trade that they want to see. But I highly doubt this is happening. But I wanted to put this out there because the ESPN trade machine did say this trade works. So it's just one example. Another one I can see working for us because we do need some more three-point shooting. Even though if we do get rid of Kyle Lowry, that's a lot of three-point shooting going away. But there's another former Raptor coming back to Toronto in this trade. And I know a lot of y'all are going to hate this, but this is something the trade machine said works, so we're going with it. The Minnesota Timberwolves get Kyle Lowry again. This is a 3-team trade between the Minnesota Timberwolves, the Toronto Raptors, and the Orlando Magic. So Kyle Lowry goes back to Minnesota again for this trade, and in return, the Toronto Raptors get Evan Fournier, and you guessed it, Terrence Ross, the inconsistent three-point shooter we've had on our team for years. We got rid of him for Serge Ibaka, so I don't know how this makes sense for us. He is playing a lot better for the Orlando Magic than he did for the Raptors, but you never know. He could be better for us coming back, learning how to play, getting more minutes. But I still don't see this trade happening. I do like Evan Fournier coming with this package, though, because he's not old. He's pretty young. I think he's like 27, 28. So that three-point shooting, he brings that element, and he does play some decent defense. So I can see this working for the Raptors. And Terrence Ross coming off the bench, I don't mind it. But like I said, I don't see this trade happening. And the Orlando Magic in this trade get back Andrew Wiggins and Bates Diop. That doesn't look like... I mean, they are getting younger, so it works for Orlando. It works for Minnesota because they're trying to make the playoffs. But for Toronto, I don't see this being a really good trade. And it puts us up 2 wins, it says, and on the trade machine. And for Orlando, it takes them down 3 wins. It takes them down 3 wins. And for Minnesota, it says it takes them down 1. Another trade machine offer. You might like this one. This one makes a lot more sense for the Raptors. This is between Minnesota, the Toronto Raptors, and the Golden State Warriors. You know how bad Golden State's playing, and they're in a new building now. They want a competitive team, and even though they're really bad right now, you can tell, and they're looking at the lottery now, and maybe trying to trade D'Angelo Russell and that high first-round pick they're gonna get for maybe another all-star player to add to their core 3 of Draymond Green, Klay Thompson, and Steph Curry. But if they do want to be competitive this season, this trade does make sense. And I'm only going with this because for the Toronto Raptors, we're getting a homegrown talent on the team that's possibly an all-star. And maybe a change of scenery can help this man get to that level that everyone's expected him to be at coming in to the league when he first got drafted as the number 1 overall pick. But for the Minnesota Timberwolves, they're getting Kyle Lowry again, along with D'Angelo Russell. The Toronto Raptors are getting Vaughn's very own Andrew Wiggins, the number 1 overall pick that was supposed to be Cleveland's overall pick, but got traded to Minnesota for Kevin Love. So we get Wiggins, we get Gorgie Jang, and then we get that rookie, Jarrett Culver, who's playing pretty well for the Minnesota Timberwolves. And Golden State is getting Serge Ibaka and Jeff Teague. Now this one, as much as I don't like it because this is our championship year. We're trying to defend. So this feels like we're just throwing in the white flag and we're saying, screw it. It's not worth it. We're not going to repeat. And they're just saying, let's just regroup, basically. Get some new talent in, get them implemented, and just start it again and see if we can have another run at it in a few years from now. The whole problem with the situation started when Kawhi Leonard decided to take his talents back home. And I'm not blaming him for it, but it's just very bittersweet because we could have ran it back and no trade talks for the Raptors would have even came in question. We would have came back with the same team. Maybe Danny Green might have been the only piece that doesn't show we weren't able to sign back because of the money situation. He would have been the only player that might have, went off somewhere else. But if that happened, we wouldn't be having these trade talks. And it is what it is. But, this is what it's come down to. And a lot of Raptors fans want to run it with the team that's currently built. And, they want to run it and see how far we can get. But if you're a realistic Raptors fan thinking with your mind, this team, its ceiling is maybe the East Finals, but nothing more. Second round seems like the most realistic, and a lot of Raptors fans are going to think with their heart and say, we have enough talent to beat everyone in the East. I don't think so. Miami, with Jimmy Butler and the mentality he brought to that team, is very, very, he has them playing at a high level. And Milwaukee doesn't look like they lost a beat since they lost Brogdon. They look like they got better by implementing Wes Matthews into the lineup, getting Kyle Korver in the offseason. They got a lot of shooters, and that's what Antetokounmpo needs, and they look like they're better than ever. They look like a better oiled machine than they were the year before when we played them in the East Finals and beat them in 6 games. Let me know what you think about those 3 trades, because those 3 specifically look like something that they're trades that work in the trade machine, right? So if you're a fan of getting DeMar DeRozan back on the team or a fan of seeing Terrence Ross back on the team, those trades might be something that you like. But for me personally, I've already said this, I'm not cool with that trade at all. And there's another trade that I have actually with the Minnesota Timberwolves, the Golden State Warriors, and the Toronto Raptors. And it's basically the same trade as, us getting Wiggins, Gorgie Jang, and Jarrett Culver. The only difference is Minnesota's getting Kyle Lowry and D'Angelo Russell, and Golden State's getting Serge Ibaka and Jeff Teague. Another one I could see happening, because Orlando's just desperate right now. Markelle Fultz is a work in progress. He doesn't look like he doesn't look like a player that can get you over the edge or the hump to a second round. And he's not a threat from the 3-point line. He's a good player that can get in the paint, dish the ball. He's athletic, but he's nothing compared to Kyle Lowry. And if the Orlando Magic are really trying to make noise and improve from last season, from losing to 5 games to us in that first round, getting Kyle Lowry might be something they might look into. There has been rumors that they're looking to trade for DeMar DeRozan, so there's a possibility, if they have the assets, to get DeMar DeRozan and Kyle Lowry back on the same team and maybe do what they did for Toronto in that first round, the first couple years when we did make the playoffs. Maybe, get them to the second round. Who knows? But in this trade, the Orlando Magic get Kyle Lowry, and we get Evan Fournier. We get DJ Augustine's expiring contract, and the young piece we acquire from them is Mo Bamba. There has been rumors that Raptors are looking to get Mo Bamba. That front court is kind of packed for Orlando, so they can't really pay everybody. And Mo Bamba fits the bill for the Raptors. They're looking for lanky guys, lanky defenders that can spread the floor and do a lot of work. You see the type of players we've drafted or we've picked up that have gone undrafted, like Chris Boucher, a Canada product from Montreal. You see Pascal Siakam, a guy that went late in the first round, number 27 pick in the 2016 draft, and see how he's developed in 3 years. You see guys like Rondae Hollis-Jefferson. He was a late draft pick for the Brooklyn Nets. They didn't re-sign him because they got KD and Kyrie this year, and the Raptors picked him up. Stanley Johnson, he's a lost cause, but you see he's a 6'8" forward. He's big, built like OG Anunoby, and they were trying to develop him. He has a 2-year contract with us, so we'll see how that goes. You see Patrick McCaw, played with Golden State, then went to Cleveland. Cleveland didn't work out. Then Toronto picked him up when he got waived. OG Anunoby, late first-round pick in the 2017 draft. Long, lanky, 6'8" dude. These guys are big, they're long, they can defend, and they're learning to shoot the 3. And those are the type of players we need. Those are the type of players we have. Those are the type of players we develop. And the Raptors development team is so good that they can make it work for any player. We have become the new San Antonio Spurs of the Eastern Conference, picking up talent that no one else can see and, basically sculpting them into something that no one expected them to be. And Terrence Davis is another example. He's a smaller guard. He's a shooting guard. He's 6'4", but he's lanky, and he can shoot the three. But I'm just saying, like, these trades do, I'd say 2 out of the 5 trades I put out today do make sense for the Raptors. 3 of them is just more like a fan favorite thing. And I don't see the Raptors, me personally, I'm just doing it for the purpose of this video, but I don't see the Raptors trading Serge Ibaka or Kyle Lowry. Kyle Lowry is 34 years old, and this 6-year run we've had with Toronto is the best run we've ever had in franchise history. So why would we tarnish what we've created with this Raptors legend? He's brought so much love to the city, so much attraction to the team of Toronto, and we can't just dash him out like that. Like, we achieved our ultimate goal. We got the championship. If we didn't, it would be a different story. But we got what we wanted, and we're looking to improve. I get it. But we can't just throw away this little championship world tour and break up the team just because our main guy left. We should try to run it back and see how far we can go. If we can give DeMar DeRozan and Kyle Lowry's test run 5 years, why can't we give this group that Kawhi left a year to see how it goes, right? Serge Ibaka is only 30 years old. I could see him and Kyle Lowry really, truly, as a Raptors fan, and I'm thinking with my heart and my head, I'm telling you that I see both of them finishing their careers here. Marc Gasol is the only guy that I could see being gone. But me, I don't want to see him go. He's that big body that can take care of those centers, and he knows how to neutralize them because he's such a smart defender. Unfortunately, he probably did have a lot of trade value before because there's a lot of teams looking for a big guy that can do that. But he's out with the hamstring injury. We don't know how long he's out for, but they did say several weeks. But hopefully they monitor his minutes when he does come back and he's healthy for the playoffs so we can make that ultimate run and see how it goes. But, I hope you all enjoyed this video. Let me know what you guys think. If you don't agree with these trades, and if you have other trades that you have put through the ESPN trade machine, let me know in the comment section. And if you have any questions, just comment below, let me know. Oh, and another thing too. Let me get you Kyle Lowry's actual average and what he's averaging this year versus last season. So last season, he averaged 2.4 3-pointers, 14.2 points, 4.8 rebounds, 8.7 assists, 1.4 steals, 0.5 blocks, and 2.8 turnovers. See, last year at one point at the beginning when we were on a tear to start the season, he was leading the league in assists, and then he got injured for a bit. This year, even with the injuries, the man comes back. He had a thumb injury this year, and he comes back and he's shooting he's making three 3-pointers in a game per game, 20.7 points, 5.2 rebounds, 7.6 assists, 1.2 steals, and 0.3 blocks with 3 turnovers. This man is still a legit number 1 option, and whoever doubted him, stop. If he didn't show you what he needed to do to prove that he's the real deal in these past 2 games, you don't know basketball. Straight up. Kyle Lowry is always going to be a fan favorite. When his career is done, his jersey's going to go up to the rafters, and he's going to have a proper retirement ceremony. There's going to be a statue outside for him. There's going to be a statue outside for Kawhi Leonard with the Game 7 shot. And it's going to be an amazing, amazing time for us all to remember as Toronto Raptor fans. So whoever says get rid of Lowry and all this bullcrap, whatever you want to call it, stop. Lowry is legit. He is the heart and soul of this team. If he gets traded, he gets traded. There has to be a perfect deal for us for that to happen. And if it doesn't, live with it. Let's just be happy. Let's root this man on. He brought this team a championship that we've never seen for 25 years. And on that note, I'm going to end this. Leave a like if you enjoyed this video. This is dedicated to my boy Kyle Lowry. And, he has his moments, and he puts Raptors fans through crazy emotions when he plays well and, in the playoffs and when he doesn't, and even the regular season. But he's proving to you at the age of 34, he still has what it takes to be a top-notch point guard. If you haven't subscribed to the channel, please do, because I'm going to have a lot of videos like this coming out. And yeah, that's going to do it. Stay blessed, stay woke, and peace!